Comparison will have you doubting the assignment God already confirmed. One glance at somebody else's progress, platform, or pace, and suddenly you forget the vision you wrote down, the mission you prayed through, and the lane you were actually building in. Comparison is dangerous, not because it makes you feel insecure, but because it distracts you from creating the impact you were called to pursue. Grace and peace. I'm Coach Tiffany, and I help creative women reset their mind, realign their focus, and build consistent momentum in how they show up and create. If comparison has been pulling you off course, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can reset to the called, confident, and creative you. We are in a 40-day series currently, and with this is day number 10. So in this video today, we will show you how to reset when comparison hits. All right. And so when your mind actually doesn't have one clear target, it grabs whatever looks familiar or shiny. And sometimes we have the familiar target written down, we have it in our mind, we have it literally around, but it's not in our subconscious, right? And so you might have that clear target, but you haven't been meditating on it long enough, right? And so this is what happens when you start scrolling, right? And that begins to shake your confidence because you actually might be scrolling more than you're actually meditating on the actual vision that you have. So your system actually starts to follow or trying to follow two lanes at one time. And so it's chasing everything, right? And so you end up doing nothing. You end up in inaction because you're looking at everything that keeps coming up and it causes your brain to stop. And so comparison ends up getting the power when you don't have any focus or when you lack focus. So when you begin to name the goal that actually is in alignment with the mission and the vision that God has given, everything else becomes noise and you're able to find the signal that you need for your mind. So your mind stops scavenging, going off to all these other places and all these alternatives because it knows the right lane. But comparison actually pulls you out of alignment and it gets you to rehearsing the wrong vision, right? You're in the wrong vision. Instead of God's vision, you're in somebody else's vision. You're in something that somebody else, God has given to somebody else, and you're looking at their vision, not your own. So you got to focus on your paper. Don't cheat. I don't know if you ever got like was in school and you got caught cheating or somebody was cheating off of your paper and it didn't feel good. Well, that's the same thing that happens. This is why David said when he was going up to fight Goliath and King Saul tried to give him his armor, he's like, I can't fit this. This not going to work for me. I am not in the order that I know how to serve. I don't need this armor because you can't wear everybody else's stuff trying to fulfill the assignment that God has given you. And so this is why comparison actually leads to lack, right? It leads to distraction and um, it leads you to not being wow, you out of traction. You're not in traction. Traction is like to keep going in momentum, right? So a lot of people think that I'm trying to remember the way that it is, but in my head, distraction is not the same as well I know the word because I'm trying to literally like it came back in my head, but dis and traction are two different things. Traction is like continued momentum, and when you're distracted you're off the line of momentum, and so you're pulled off of that and you're going to do other things instead of what you actually had assigned or your mission, right? And so I'm going to give an example as I reset, right? We're going to reset, or I'm going to show you what resetting looks like for me. And so we start with what the framework that I use is reflect, examine, submit, expect, and then trust. And so, in one way that I could think about what triggered me inside of comparison, I don't even have an example in my head. I thought I would have one. um, let's think about this. It could be, I don't know. Okay, say for instance, okay, I know what my mission is, but I go and I find somebody else and they have so many views on Instagram, or yeah, let's use Instagram because that's not my platform. So they have all of these views on Instagram and they're doing well and they have the same message that I have. But one thing I noticed is they're not talking about faith. They're just in a secular context, right? Talking to women, and they're not talking to creative women. They're talking to, I don't know, women who want to be bosses, like boss women. And if I start looking at their content and it's like, oh, they got all of these followers or these views, or I don't even know how Instagram works like that. But say I'm looking at that and I'm like starting to feel some type of way and it stops me from creating. Well, that's not the vision that God showed me. He showed me the vision of getting on YouTube. And so I'm on YouTube and my mission is not boss women. My mission is the creative woman and her getting her mind together so that she can come out and create. And so those are the things that I would need to do. But once I see that, to reflect means that I look at it and I see, you know, I'm triggered by this, and so I notice that I'm triggered by it. And what do I do with what I'm noticing? I just notice it. I just make sure, like, okay, I noticed that. Let's reset. Because I don't want that to take me into, or I can notice the feeling behind it, right? I'm feeling some type of way. Okay. I'm feeling some type of way. I feel some type of way about it. And so I want to examine that outside of that context. Well, is this really true? Is everybody else like looking at this content this way, or am I the only one looking at it this way? And if I'm the only one looking at this way, then maybe it's a lie that's in my head that's trying to prevent me from showing up. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'll examine that and I'll take that and submit that to God. And so then we go to the submitting part. And this is where we get back under the mission, right? We take it to God. We humbly come to Him, because when we humbly come to Him, He gives us more grace, right? And then I'm just like in love with that, right? Because he gives us grace to do our assignments. So when we humbly come to him and we say, like, okay, I'm struggling with this area. I saw this person and he says, daughter, that was, you weren't supposed to be looking over there, but it's okay. I love you. Just get back in line. And he gives us the grace to do so, right? And so now that we've submitted to God, we can resist the enemy, we can resist the lies, and finally expect, right? We can expect a great outcome because we're looking at somebody else's field. You know how they say the grass is always greener on the other side. It's not always greener on the other side. It's never greener on the other side. So we can like stop looking over there and literally go into our own lane, right? And expect what God has shown us, expect the vision that He has given us. And then finally, we're going to trust inside of that. And trust commands rest. Like we can move from our level of trusting God inside of that and go forward. And so that's how I literally would take that. Like when you're in a place of trust, you trust God, and by faith you move, because faith without works is dead. So you're going to move while trusting God. All right. And so you don't actually need to be in somebody else's pace. Whatever it is that God has given them, He gave to them. And, He gives good gifts. So I don't know why we would want to look at somebody else anyway, but it happens, right? It happens to so many of us, right? And, we can't be duplicated. and duplicating somebody else, it ain't our style. Like, it's not gonna fit for us anyway. So it doesn't even make any sense. He's given all of us something to steward, and when we return with clarity from this time, we literally have enough confidence to walk in restoration and then serve from a place of restoration, because we don't want to go out serving thinking about somebody else and what they're doing, right? We have our own mission, our own calling. And so if you're ready to reset and focus and rebuild your rhythm with clarity, come join us inside the 7-day Creator System Reset in the Nourish and Thrive Tribe on school. You can go to nourishandthrivetribe.com. This is coming mid-December. So come join us inside. It's going to help you clear the clutter, break the delay cycle, and return to the lane that God already assigned to you. I hope that this is something that you are looking forward to. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like this 40-day called Confident and Creative You Challenge. I don't know if I want to call it a challenge, but this experience that we're doing these 40 days. All right. God bless you. And we will see you next time.